there. Okay.
Yeah.
So now what are the three things which you would tell people like they should look for out of an MBA? Right. I mean, you have just gotten out, you have hit the, the MBA days are fresh in your mind. Right. So what will be the three key things that you think a person should do? We'll also look at what are the key things which they don't do. So we'll first start with three things which a
You
person
should
who's
do.
doing an MBA should do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first thing, I think the main objective, what goes into this MBA. I mean, obviously your objective. I mean, your larger objective, where you want to get a good placement, get a good job, and this and that, right? But how to get there? I think one of the key things is to have a very strong profile when it comes as an individual, right?
So when you
So
say profile, what do you mean by profile?
your profile as in your experiences, the projects that you do, the kind of things you participate in, right? So your resume. So how does a recruiter typically look at a resume? A recruiter gets a bunch of 60, 70, 100 resumes probably. And they have one look at a resume and then put it in the select reject file immediately. They don't have that much time. They come at night and from tomorrow morning they have to start the process, right? So immediately that happens first of all. So having a strong profile, when I mean have a very good standout point on your resume, like you have won a particular competition which has a certain amount of reputation, or you have participated in a number of things, or you have been in a good position of responsibility. You have taken responsibility for certain things, or you have done something new in this IIM that was not done before. That is something personally that worked in my favor when it came to IIM Ranchi. We'll talk about this in just a minute. Okay. So first thing is don't just be academic oriented, because recruiters will hardly get to know about your grades and all those things. What they will look at is what you put in your resume, what your work experience is. If you don't have work experience, then what have you done during your MBA life or during your past college life? What are the things apart from extracurriculars, we call it, but I think that has become the mainstream to some extent now, right? So let's stop calling it extracurriculars
So
from here on.
can you give me an example of what do you mean by this? Like
Yeah, I think
extracurricular?
I think I had two things on my resume, two or three things which stand out, which I think stood out when it came to my recruitment. Still in my interviews, those things come up. First of all, we had won the campus round of Mahindra War Room. Okay, so you have a lot of these corporate competitions with very good corporate competitions which are there. A lot of opportunities come when you do an MBA. So you have Mahindra War Room, HUL Line, you have L'Oreal Brandstorm, right? These are the pretty famous ones. Okay, so
I think if
if you
I'm not
have
mistaken, PNG and L'Oreal.
PNG,
Yeah,
yeah,
L'Oreal also.
L'Oreal Brandstorm is there. Then you get other fields as well. Like Mahindra floats in all areas, all different areas. There are case studies in all different areas. Then you get consultative case studies as well, right? So that stood out first of all. Then second was, I think I had done a live project with a corporate company during my MBA stint as itself. Through a professor, through industry contacts, you can try to get live projects from them. You can do those things. Okay, especially if I see a lot of freshers making into IIM these days. At least in our batch, there are quite a considerable number of freshers. So for them, I think these things became very crucial because they have to build their resume, they have to build that profile, and these things really add a lot of value. Okay, and third thing I think one stood out was we started a analytics club in our campus. It was not there, so this is another what I was talking about, that in a newer IIM you get to do certain things which are not there, right? So probably in a mature IIM you won't get that many opportunities
Or it
to do
was
that.
probably done already, or maybe the
Yeah,
way it was set up was not that great.
yeah. So definitely there will be certain challenges in doing that in terms of like we didn't have a campus in my batch, so we had a different campus for our residents and different campus for our academics. Okay, and they were pretty far, but kudos to the operations people who used to manage the operations over there in IIM Ranchi. Like they would handle for transport, food, everything for those things, right? So despite those challenges, if you can do something new and that can be talked about, that why you did this, what gave you motivation. So that shows really interest of somebody towards something, right? Passion of somebody towards something, and that obviously impresses a recruiter a lot. Okay, so that initiative taking mindset also comes in when it comes to if that is there, I think that also stood out to some extent.
Okay. Uh, Quick interlude. How was the food in IIM Ranchi? Nobody is ever happy about the food which is served in hostels. So
Hostels, yeah, I would
I
rate
think
this.
it's a function of the fact that you're eating the same food again and again. I mean, like for example, if everyone craves about maa ke haath ka khana, but you go home for 3 days and the fourth day you would say, "Aaj bhi lauki ka sabzi bana hai." So,
Uh,
so I mean, like
so
it's a function of eating the same type of food again and again. So that's at least
yeah.
my take on why hostel food is bad.
And in Ranchi, compared to a city like Ahmedabad, Bangalore, or Calcutta, probably the Ranchi options were also limited when it comes to outside of hostel food.
Or
Okay,
Swiggy
so
or
that was
Ola or Uber or
yeah.
something.
We didn't have a Swiggy. We had a Khana man. If you can.
Okay.
No, and he has not given me any money to promote them. So, okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. But food in bits was better. I would all say that much. That's all. I'll let you
Okay.
all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just okay. So let's go to the three things which people you think should not be doing during an MBA.
Three things should not be doing. That's interesting. I'm pretty open to people what they do. Think I take really interest with what they're doing, whatever they're doing. Like somebody, one. I know one student from our batch was almost a part-time model in
Ah,
Ranchi itself. Okay, so that was pretty interesting. Like she didn't take placement; she went for that career. She went after that career post her MBA also. I
oh,
think
okay.
that is pretty great. So what they shouldn't be doing in general is, I think, utilize. I think utilizing outside of class timing well is something they need to do. A lot of people have seen what they do is they waste a lot of that time. I mean, especially when your residence is at a different campus and academics happen at different campus, it feels like a day scholar type of thing that you go, you attend the classes, come back and get on with your usual stuff, like whatever you do with your time, right? So that thing I think in IIM Ranchi was a certain challenge, but that should be done like in your time, in your breaks. Suppose you're working in a for a corporate competition, okay,
Okay.
and you get a couple of hours of time between classes where you don't have a bus to bring you back, so you have to spend those classes that time over there. So that time you can use for doing research online or go offline, going towards the shops, the places which are there, what they are doing, trying to talk to people, getting some customer research done probably at that time. So utilizing these times are very important when it comes to IIM. A lot of people have seen doing that. So what people shouldn't do is waste their time, waste their outside of class time. Okay, so
Okay.
that was a main thing. Second thing, what they shouldn't do is lose focus on academics altogether, right? So even though
So what
your
is the
placement,
biggest reason for losing focus? Girlfriends, boyfriends? Uh,
I think the biggest reason for losing focus is the perception that it doesn't matter when it comes to your placement.
ah.
Okay, so that is a big perception
Fairness
over.
is, I mean, I'm really surprised. Like, even though a lot of these IIMs have now put like profiles as one of the huge criteria in terms of, uh, you know, uh, selection process. How is it that the people who were supposedly having good acads suddenly lose focus in an academic program?
So they lose focus because, like I said, like even I was saying before, right? So a lot of these points on resumes matter, but I think to some extent there is a academic process also going on over there, and by learning that you will help you get those points in the resume. So you know, should look at things like this versus that. Okay, so that is a problem that even if you are in a class. So we had a compulsory attendance in our college, right? So you have to sit in that class. At that time, I've seen a lot of students switch off altogether because they have something else to do later or they have done something before. Okay, so that class they don't give that much importance. They'll get distracted, or they'll take that class as a rest time sometimes. Okay, so that is something I would advise again. That class somebody is teaching and they have a quite a decent amount of experience compared to you. Okay, so that should be utilized for learning, getting into a good conversation. I strongly believe I have never been eliminated in a GD during a placement process. Okay, and I strongly believe that came from getting into good active discussions in the class, right? So a lot of this case method of teaching requires participation. If there is no participation, there's no point of case method of teaching. The teacher might as well be telling a story about a company or a particular incident in that case, right? So I think that active participation, active learning should be there in the classrooms, and that will reflect in your thought process, in the way you approach a certain case competitions or inter-college competitions, fest competitions, and all those things. If you can apply certain concepts over there, that will be pretty great, right? And in certain disciplines like analytics, when it comes to analytics, is finance, analytics, operations, very academically driven disciplines, right? Lot of academic thrust goes into working in these fields as well. So there, these things also become important. So don't lose focus on academics. Outside of academics, utilize your time properly. Okay. And third thing is, don't take too much pressure of placements, because that will make you bogged down every day, and you won't be able to like perform or do whatever activity you are involved in. Okay, so instead of worrying about what will happen, and what kind of placements will come in, especially in a newer IIM, you can become apprehensive. It's very easy to do that, right? It can happen to you, right? You can
So
become
basically, you're
apprehensive
saying
that,
you do your job, the
yeah,
placement
yeah,
committee will do their job.
yeah. Let them do their job. Let the companies come in, research about the companies, read about them, go there, perform your heart out, but at the same time, prepare yourself for those moments, right? So your classroom discussions, your ability to do research outside of your academic, or getting uh, or utilizing your time, those things will gain you a certain experience when it comes to the placement process. That experience will make you attractive to a recruiter in a GD. They'll notice you, or in an interview, they'll remember you. They'll really want to have a conversation with you. And I
Okay.
think those things will help you. And obviously, to build your resume, you have to. You can also have good academic project. Like, if you really कोई दिल से academic project करे ना, मतलब if you really put your heart into academic project and do it something really outstanding. A lot of people do that same old thing in the academic projects,
You
right?
basically have a one night stand with the
Yeah.
project.
Don't have, yeah, but you have to do that. See, there are a lot of things going on. Some people have to do that, but certain courses you can pick up. You can find certain time. Yeah, I'll focus more on this particular course, and in that course, I'll try to do a really good project with that professor, and I can have a conversation about it in during my interview in future, right? So that also happens, but in the high but in the when but you don't have that much vision when it comes to academic project. You look at it like a load, right? So don't look at it like a load. Okay, do it well, and if you do well, obviously the that thing can show up in the future, and that can work in your favor as well. Even while switching from Wipro to ICICI Lombard, a lot of my things that I did during my MBA life and before that mattered. It was not just what I did in Wipro. In fact, Wipro was certain extent irrelevant to the experience, to what I was getting into here, right? So those things mattered, and those things came in handy, and a lot of conversations in interviews were around that. Okay,
Okay.
so you can gain certain points which will carry with you throughout your life, and that can really help you.
Okay, so now let's come to the other part of this, which is basically analytics, business intelligence, big data, and all those things. So I'll try to break it down in small parts so that we can do it. I mean,